Hey everybody, this is John for MTG Nexus coming at you with a slightly updated version of Gyruda combo in Pioneer. This particular version is by an article on Good Grief Games with some slight alterations to the deck we played and stuff that makes a little bit more sense in the context of the format. So the primary difference between this and the first Gyruda combo deck we played is 4 copies of Wisp Weaver Angel in the main deck. Beyond that, and also 4 copies of Blast Zone over Radiant Fountain. So what is Gyruda combo? What is this deck trying to accomplish? So this deck is based around Gyruda Doom of Depths, which basically your deck has to start out as all even cards. So you can't play any 1-drops, any 3-drops, 5-drops, etc. What it aims to do is play a mana dork of either Sylvan Caryatid, Paradise Druid, ideally, or Wolfwillow Haven on 2. Play another clone effect or another mana dork on 3. Untap, cast Gyruda Doom of Depths on turn 4. Mill your deck for 4. Well, actually, mill both players for 4. Ideally, get a clone or a Wisp Weaver Angel. Continue the process again. Ideally, you want to eventually get Spark Double into play. Spark Double copies it, but it's non-legendary, so you get to keep copies of Gyruda in play. And then once you get Spark Double, you seek to copy it with your other clone effects as opposed to copying the original, so you don't keep legend ruling it. And then eventually, you want to find Dragonlord Kolaghan and ideally close out the game in one swing. You also have Wisp Weaver Angel, which, while it's not a clone effect, it is a blink effect and a separate creature that's not going to die to the legendary rules. So basically, you're trying to set up. You end up milling yourself usually 3, 4, 5 times, getting a bunch of either redraws or clones into play, and then trying to kill your opponent in one swing. Oftentimes it's correct to just stop with, like, say you got Gyruda into a Dragonlord Kolaghan. Sometimes it's just correct if it's going to close the game out over 2 turns anyway, as oftentimes it's going to be really hard in Pioneer for people to win through, multiple 6/6s in play. And be aware, Dragonlord Kolaghan has an interesting text that whenever an opponent casts a creature or planeswalker spell with the same name as a card in their graveyard, that player loses 10 life. This ended up coming up in a matchup against, I think, Blue-White Yorion Devotion. They tried to cast a Heliod Sun Crown from their hand when there was one in the graveyard, and they were at 8 and they died. So Kolaghan does have some text beyond Flying Haste and other creatures you control have haste. Beyond that, the differences in the lists that we're playing is, I believe, yeah, that was research wrong one. The original Gyruda combo had like Blinks of an Eye, Ceratops, some Jace's Defeats, and Thought-Knot Seers. Kind of a heavy emphasis on blue-based decks. This version's a little bit more interested in interacting with creature-based decks with things like Ether Gust and Ether Eyes for creature-based decks. If you look at the sideboarding guide, they've included basically the only cards they ever board out are Wolfwillow Haven and clone effects. You definitely need to leave in your 8 Druids. And then, like, against Auras, they bring in Ether Eyes and Rift. Against Burn, they bring in Gust and Ether Eyes. Delirium, they just bring in, like, 4 Thought-Knot Seers. And Soul, they bring in 4 Thought-Knot Seers. Inverter, 4 Thought-Knot Seers. Mono Black, 4 Thought-Knot Seers. Mono Green, Gusts and Rifts. Lotus Storm, you bring in the Damning Spheres, which this is a matchup we ran into 3 times last time. And then Spirits, they also bring in Thought-Knot Seers. So, a little bit different. We're not trying to jam counterspells into our sideboard anymore. This kind of felt a little bit awkward at times. Felt like it would be really hard to hold up counterspells and try to combo off. You do have some like situations where you can like play Wisp Weaver Angel, copy it, force your opponent to react, gives you an opening to Gyruda combo, etc. Cast Thought-Knot Seer, force the counterspells out. There really isn't a ton of true hard control in the format. So sometimes it's a lot easier to jam a combo, especially when something like Spirits, their primary way to answer it in game 1 is they really don't have one other than to try to kill you, because they don't whatchamacallit, only gets 4 CMC or less. I'm drawing a blank spell queller. Only gets 4 CMC and less. So you can't really stop your combo, and then they have Mystical Disputes out of the sideboard, which obviously a little bit harder to play around, but you know, you at least have a little more tools in those situations. So that said, it's a pretty simplistic combo deck. As far as Pioneer content, I'm going to kind of stick to like simpler decks like this and Burn. Obviously not playing Pioneer as much as I do Modern. It's a little bit easier to play decks that aren't relying on being tuned. You know, even decks like Lotus Combo or Lotus Field Combo and Inverter do require you to either have more practice with them or pay a little more attention to the format, whereas when you're just kind of jumping in and jumping out of the format, it's a lot easier to have a more linear deck. Well, Lotus Breach Combo is fairly simple in terms of once you know the mechanics. There's a lot of nuance and play to the format, as I've been watching Caleb Shearer's things. And with Burn being on the rise because of Luris, I'm perfectly happy to play a Burn deck in a format. I'm also happy to play this deck because sometimes it's just fun to spin the wheel and see what happens. So that said, let us get into some matches. We're back here for match number 1 on the play, which is always a good thing. Reveal Gyruda. Looks like they also have a companion, Gyruda. Interesting. So, stands a keep. Bit risky, because we really need our Paradise Druid not to die, but I think Spark Double on the bottom. We need to hit a 4th land. Yeah, we'll take the land here. Now we don't have to tap anything, we can just play our Paradise Druid next turn. So we might be up against a control deck, which obviously could be a little bit trickier in terms of I'm going to tap this to play around Censor. Confirmed, our opponent really doesn't understand what's going on. Alright, so let us begin the comboing. Obviously, if this whiffs, we're in some trouble, but opponent gave us the opening, so let's take it. That, this one, copy that, this one, well, if they have a Wrath, we're in some trouble, but no Wrath. I guess they could potentially have Soul the Wreckage here. Like, we're not beating a Settle the Wreckage anyway, so why bother? Yep. And nothing. It's like, wait, what just happened? So we have 2 Gyrudas in our deck. So what are the odds they have a counterspell up here? Probably pretty good, right? In fact, we know they have neutralize. There's a copy of any creature on the battlefield. Let me just pass right now. Use the opportunity to activate Blast Zone. Dig through time? Sure. So one more draw. Alright, that allows me to play around. Alright. Alright. So, probably bring in Thought Not Seers. Board out the clones and the Wolf Willow Havens. Probably bring in like Mystical Disputes and stuff. Can't keep this hand, doesn't have a mana dork. This hand also doesn't have a mana dork, so we have to mulligan again. Keep. Wonder if Scooby-Doo's learned their lesson yet. Don't tap out on my turn 4. Sure. Sure. Yield through the turn. May as well. Feel like if they're going to verdict us, they're going to verdict us anyway, so. It's a pretty good draw. Counterspell, gonna have to use it on Thought Not Seer. Yep. No reason to jam. Sure. I presume at some point they're going to tap low for Teferi. So I think we try to jam on that turn. It's possible I was supposed to jam there post-combat, but... Two, three... 6, 7. I mean, they can still probably hold up Mystical Dispute regardless, so. This is going to be our best chance to jam, I guess. Can at least play around Censor. I don't know that we can play around Mystical Dispute here. Alright, I mean, jamming Gyruda from hand feels a lot better than, well, actually I should just jam the Companion because they already know this is coming, so. It really has no idea how this works, do they? Okay, I think they were counting on Rest in Peace stopping it, and because of the way Gyruda and Rest in Peace are worded, it works. It's a replacement effect, but this one specifically says each card in their graveyard, put a creature card, even those cards on the battlefield under your control. Don't know why it works, it just works. So we got a win that we probably have no business winning. Back for match number 2. We are going to play. I would love to play first. There's a Urion deck. Hands a mulligan. This hand's a keep, but a bit risky. Put Dragonlord Kolaghan back. So we're looking for a 4th land, and ideally we'd love another another dork. Keeping a 4th land. The only reason I don't particularly like Paradise Druid in these spots is because if you have to tap it to play your clone, you're opening it up to removal spells. What kind of hand did our opponent keep? So I guess I could just play Whisperwill Silk Angel here. Force our opponent to react to a secondary plane. Might get Supreme Verdicted here. Yep. I'm curious why they shock something in. I'll say, to my knowledge, Urion doesn't have flash. Sure. It's only one's our opponent's control. Alright. Or we control, sorry. Guess I'm used to, was it Vizier of Clever Impersonator is the one I was thinking of. Planeswalker you control, not something opponent controls. Sure. Dig through time? Oh, Torrential Gearhulk. Sure. What you got over there, friend? Player of many faces. Blue, blue. Sure. Well, I mean, let's get this out of the way, because it's likely to encounter, right? Sure. Nothing like getting got by sensor on turn 11. Yeah. This is definitely one of those decks that's like can only be played in small doses because, well, I should say, can only be played in small doses against decks like Blue-Eye Control, where you're just sitting here going, I have no decisions, and my opponent's just like taking a billion game actions, and it's like, you know, you hold up your counter spells, you kill me. I mean, really not a hard concept. Like, ideally, we'd love to rip a land and play around Censor, but beyond that, we have to jam this turn, so I could just as easily have Supreme Verdict at any time, too. So, here goes. Show me counterspell. Alright. That was fun. Bring in the Thought-Knot Seers. Down the Havens and the Clones. Your opponent last game, I think the two matches really kind of show the difference between the play skill sometimes of like Blue-Eye Control. Like maybe our first Blue-Eye Control opponent didn't have a ton of counter spells, didn't really have much to play. I think the fact that they brought in Rest in Peace probably indicated that they haven't played much against Gyruda combo. So that fact in and of itself doesn't surprise me, but whereas this opponent at least reads the cards, seems to make informed decisions. Can't keep this hand. Hand's much better. I think we keep the second copy of Gyruda and get rid of what, Blast Zones maybe. Looking for a fourth land. Found it. Play the Void. Spark Double doesn't particularly do anything here. This will allow us to play around Sensor this turn. I'm going to leave Clever Impersonator in case they decide they want to jam like a Teferi for some reason, which I doubt, but you never know. One, two, three, four, five. I think we're supposed to start attacking here. Like even if they Azorius charm something, we're still in a position to do some stuff. Obviously, if they Verdict, we're kind of like, eh. But it's up to us to force them to act, unfortunately. So am I willing to smash into the face of I think I only attack with one this turn. Just because I really want them to react, but it doesn't look like they're going to. So opponent is extremely disciplined here. Five, six. We can currently play around Censor. We can't really play around Mystical Dispute. I think we'll just go ahead and jam. Vizier here. Actually going to counter this. Interesting. Okay. Attack with 1 Paradise Druid. I'm perfectly fine trading that off if they want to trade the mana. I figure they would, so... Because it's a 3-2 in play. Allows us to play around Censor. I don't play Counterspell with my deck, friend. I have no idea what our opponent's even trying her up, so not going to particularly care. Sure. One, two, three, four, 5, 6, 7, 8. So if I altered Ego, trying to copy Torrential Gear Hulk, they might counter that and might leave us an opening for Thought Not Seer. We'll go with that. Sure. Why is Altered Ego not counterable? I should have made it a lot bigger. The things you learn about these random clone effects. This is getting countered 100%. Censor. Actually got neutralized. I'm kind of surprised. Yeah, I should have made let's see, sure. One, two, three, four, 5, 6, 7, 8. what point do you Supreme Verdict if you're them? One, two, three. Sure. I wonder if they left Supreme Verdict in. That's an interesting one. This is kind of an insane game in and of itself. Come on, friend. There's 2 cards on the bottom. Clever impersonator cast out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yep. Sure. Come on, give me an untapped land deck. Sure. 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 There's no way this works, right? Bounce that guy. There's no way this is gonna work. Yep. Finally gonna pull a trigger on Supreme Verdict. Oh, cast out. Surprise, surprise. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is an altered ego, so let's go that. 6 mana. Yes. Alright, let's force you to do something now. Supreme Verdict. Yep, sure. Alright. Yep. Alright, that's enough. I tap out at this point. You know. We gave it a go as well as we could. On to the next match. Yeah, we're back for match number 3 with Gyruda combo. What on earth is this? Volbeat. Alright, interesting. So we're both companion decks. They are Luris. Some mulligan, unfortunately. No mana dorks of any kind. So. Luris in this format, though, generally means aggressive deck. So. We're going to 5 as well. And we're going to 4. And keep. Back 1, 2, 3. Okay, there are Thoughtseize deck, sure. Looking for lands and mana dorks. Mana clone on the bottom. Black-green. I have no idea what's going on over there. Sure, they're going to speed downs. At least they can't bring Thoughtseize back from the graveyard. Go! Clever Impersonator. If they have a fatal push, they have a fatal push. It's kind of whatever. Curious why they didn't attack with Lurrus, though. Oh, Hardened Scales. Okay, that makes sense. That indeed makes sense. Alright, well, Gyruda combo. Spark double. Blank. Trigger. Spark double. Copy. Copy spark double. Whoopsie. A lot of dudes. Clone. Legendary. Non-legendary. Kulagon. Move to combat. Swing. Alright. Merry Christmas. Oh, I want to see how much damage it was. 6, 12, 19. Yeah, punt's no fun. Alright, so Hardened Scales. So, huh. So according to this, against auras he boards in Etherize and Rift. Against mono black and mono green. Mono black he brings in Thought-Knots here. I am not honestly sure which ones I should be bringing in here. Because we know that there's a chance we can get Thoughtseized. So return all attacking creatures to their hand. Cyclonic Rift does something similar. I think we'll bring in the Etherize and the Rifts on the play and on the draw. On the play we might bring in Thought-Knot Seer. This is one I'm not really sure, like, Like, I mean, we gotta keep this hand, but we get Thoughtseize. It's pretty miserable, right? Yep, definitely keeping. Angels being in starting hand's a basic mulligan, but, you know. Turn 1, Thoughtseize. Yep. Cool. Looking for dorks in all the wrong places. Yep. Yep. So our opponent's just going to go really, really wide here. Yep. So curious how close to dead I am. I'm curious, am I dead this turn if I don't block? Four. Alright, so we block, take 9. Block, take 8. Block, take 8. We have to rip a land. So Ballista, take 8, the land that isn't. Sure. Squeeze a little value on that one. All right. Seems like Ether Eyes and Cyclonic Rift are the correct ones to buy as time in this matchup. Either one of those would have been devastating to our opponent there. Apologize. Stay hydrated during. Unfortunately, this is a mulligan. I think this hand's a keep-ish. Obviously, we have to keep a hand with a mana dork, and they're going to keep hands that are primarily Thoughtseize based, so definitely keeping this one, putting back Altered Ego since it's the hardest to cast. Put that on the bottom. Feel like that's getting Thoughtseized. It's been their consistent strategy, so yep. We'll be lucky and they kept a one-lander. I doubt it, but it's possible, I suppose. Sure. Construct. So yep. Mr. Coral Serpent, yep. 1 mana source away. Take the beating and like it. Come on, deck. Give me an untapped land. Pretty sure I'm dead here. Is there any line that keeps me alive slash allows me to do the thing? I think a minimum we're taking 5. Yeah, we're just dead next turn. Alright. Yeah, that was disappointing. Yeah, we're back for match number 4 with Gyruda combo and Pioneer against spontaneously flying fox. Laris of the Dream Den. Well, I mean, if we had a second land, I would snap this hand off, but we don't, so this hand is much better. Put back probably the Angel. I think, ironically, Paradise Druid is like my least favorite mana dork of the 3 we're capable of messing with. Like, obviously, I love Sylvan Caryatid, especially against a Laris deck. Laris deck with a fetch land. Interesting. Ideally looking for, like, a Caryatid or another land. Hello, Moto. Let our opponent give us information now. Okay. So we definitely don't want to expose Paradise Druid at any point. Hello, Moto. Please pass turn. Please pass turn. Please pass turn. I would like to get my shiznit rolling here, my friend. With Willow Haven. That, my friends, is a keep. Now we just kind of gotta, kind of gots to hope for Ratchet Bomb. Well, that's gonna be a little rough. Who the friggin' plays main deck Ratchet Bombs? We have definitely had a weird league. One, two, three, four, five. Yield through turn. Once again, we find ourselves in the inevitable position of we need to rip a land. Untapped land, preferably. One, two, three, four, five. Casting Luris. Like Luris. Sure. Sure. Let's make sure you blow some stuff up this turn, shall we? Mm-hmm. I think this deck is rapidly approaching my my point of it was fun the first time around, but yeah, once people see Gyruda, they kind of know what's up. So it's kind of like they can mulligan to the hate per se. Yep, taking the hit, liking it. Luris. Sure. Pop the bomb. Yep. Croxa. Yeah, Croxa's annoying, but not particularly relevant here. Nope. Really? Sure. Alright, go. Hopefully you can't kill us next turn. Four, 7. Crap. No, they don't have enough cards in their graveyard, fortunately. They can't escape Croxa. His for 6. That's claim. +2/+0 and haste. So the hits for 6. Do that. Force us to block and rip. Yikes. For a deck which we don't have a whole lot of thinking process, there sure is a lot of doing this. Cross the fingers and hope to get lucky. Like, I think this turn's pretty easy. I guess they can only escape Croxa once. So that's a thing. Yeah, I think this is one of those decks that once people understand what you're trying to do, which is very simplistic, dork into dork, combo on 4, it's fairly easy to disrupt. Like our Hardened Scales opponent was aggressively mulliganing to Thoughtseize. Our second blue-white control opponent on Urion really tried as hard as they could to make things happen. And the first opponent just didn't seem to have a clue what was going on, so they got smoked. When we had no business probably winning that matchup, honestly. Alright, make sure we're not disconnected. We are not. So, bring back that, deal 6, deal 4. This does require 5 others to escape. 1, 2, 3, 4. We pop the bomb, get a 5th card in there, not enough damage. They had another claim to fame. This is how we do it. Opponent's trying to kill us for a combo. Combo. This is how we crocs up. Sure. Do I block? %100% blocking. Yep. On deck. I guess we gotta play it anyway, so I'm pretty sure we're dead. Opponent gets to escape Croxa, and then there's like nothing we can do. Yep. That was fun. Sideboarding against this hot mess. What are they most similar to? The fact that they're playing Ratchet Ball on me is kind of like, that's definitely a weird one. Sounds okay. I mean, we're going to at least try it. Looking for lands and stuff. Thoughtseize on one, because she's a creature card from it. They're not even playing Thoughtseize, they're playing Harsh Scrutiny. Okay. Sure. I guess we're just trying to get the 6 lands and cast it naturally. Just to mess with our opponent a little bit. Sure. Sure. Like, there's some conceivable way we get out of this mess, but one more match. Yeah, we're back for our 5th and final match in this Gyruda combo. Mulligan. Keep. 3rd Yori on deck. Go on the bottom. Keep. Hope they're a clunky mid-range based version of this deck as opposed to a counterspell control version. Standard to the bottom. Chaotic. I can't interact with the combo in any meaningful way. Okay, they are a Yuri on deck. Interesting. So Abzan. Not relevant. For a 3-drop. Okay. Actually up to a 4-drop, I guess. Sure. Blue. Blue. Cast our companion. See what happens. Angel blink. Yield through the turn. Sure. I don't think Tireless Tracker matters here. Right. Angel. Blink Gyruda. Trigger. Clever Impersonator, copying that. Altered Ego, copying that. Through Many Faces, copying that. Altered Ego, copying that. Vesper Silk Angel. Lincoln Gyruda. Trigger me this, Batman. Altered Ego, copying that. Dragon Lord Colligon. Two clones out, 2 Thought Knot Seers in. I really want to leave the full Havens in this game. What a weird league. Come on, friendu. I think my overall takeaway of this deck is I think it's fine to bust out like every 3 or 4 weeks, maybe in your LGS. Like it's a deck. I think it's a deck if people don't understand how it works. You can steal some free wins you have no business winning. Do I keep this hand? Huh. I feel like this is a hand I'm supposed to mulligan. Yeah, this hand's definitely better. Putting back, what, Gyruda? Just because it's the hardest one to cast. So the reason I put back the other one is, yeah, opponent's gonna Thoughtseize, sure, whatever. I'm not shocked in the least there. Probably take Karate if they're... Took Haven. Interesting. Let me draw another Gyruda. It's like the last card in our deck we want to draw. I think I want to draw another land, probably. Alright, I mean, if our opponent's on the Wrath plan, there's not really much we can do right now. Like, our hands literally just jam a Spark Double and hope to rip another land. Oath of Kaiash. Once again, opponent ripped the wrong land, or ripped the wrong permanent. The only thing I can figure is they have like a Languish. So Languish should make sense here. Okay, Siege Rhino, I don't remotely care about. Combo. Spark Double. Copy that. And we whiff. Okay. Trial of Ambition would have been brutal. Battle Cattle. Don't think Battle Cattle are going to be doing enough here. I think I just play Vizier 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I have. Let's do Vizier, I guess. Alter Ego, Mega Dude. Mega Dude. Sure. Whisper Silk Angel. Mega Dude. Gyruda. Alter Ego. Good dude. Polygon. Swing everything. Enjoy. What should we actually hit for? Turn the game. It's a lot of damage. Alright, on to the wrap up. Alright, we're back for a quick wrap up with Gyruda combo here in Pioneer. Overall, 5-5 with the deck in 2 leagues. I think it comes down to a couple of things. I think this is a deck you can play in small doses, or if you just enjoy trying to play linear combo decks, some people do. This is one of those decks that if your opponent understands what's going and they have the disruption, you're probably a dog. You don't exactly have a lot of counterplay. You know, Thoughtseize can blow us up. Thoughtseize plus pressure can blow us up. Counterspells can blow us up. But a lot of the top decks in Pioneer don't really have either. You have, so if you look at the top decks, you have Lotus Breach, which with 4 Dampening Sphere, I think that's become a favorable matchup. I beat it one of the 3 times we played it previously. We're kind of similar goldfishes, but I think overall it's a close-ish matchup. Orzhov Auras, I think it's a goldfish versus goldfish matchup that we might be able to win. Burn, I think, is a close matchup. Devotion, they don't really have a ton of tools that we care about other than maybe if they have Gideon's Intervention. Inverter's probably rough. Boros Feather, probably close, but probably a little bit in our favor. Just Got Fire Super Friends, there's a lot about that deck that we don't care about. Hardened Constrictor, we played that matchup. Our opponent mulliganed very aggressively. Azorius Control, depends on what the opponent knows what's going on. Delirium's probably a pretty reasonable matchup outside of Thoughtseize. And Orzhov Doom Pact, I have no idea. So, deck is a lot of fun, but can be very frustrating. It's very much a glass cannon. You saw what the issues we had. You know, if they ever print another, like, untouchable mana dork like Paradise Druid, Sylvan Caryatid, you know, yada yada yada, I think the deck could get better, but I think other than that, the deck already has a critical mass of clones. You know, there's some interesting text like Altered Ego isn't counterable, which I found entertaining. But beyond that, the deck is what it is. It's a really big swing or a really big miss. It's kind of like the baseball player that hits 200, but or hits maybe like 225 and hits like 50 home runs a year. Like, you're either going to get a strikeout or you're going to like annihilate people. So if you're cool with that kind of magic, this deck's fun in small doses. If you're not so cool with that, then play something a little bit more consistent like Burn or Inverter. You know, something a little bit more consistent than this deck. Well, I shouldn't say consistent. This deck is extremely consistent at executing its game plan. If you don't mind folding to Disruption, this deck's fine. But there's a lot of decks that just don't interact on this axis. Like, I think we got a little bit unlucky to run into Thoughtseize deck, Thoughtseize deck, Thoughtseize deck, Counterspell deck, Counterspell deck. Blue-Eye Control, Hardened Scales with a lot of pressure on Thoughtseize, Luris, Croxa stuff with, well, they didn't have Thoughtseize, they had Harsh Disruption and Croxa to kind of whittle away at your hand, and main deck Ratchet Bomb, which was a little weird. And then we played against Thoughtseize slow stuff deck that we annihilated. So, you know. Thoughtseize plus pressure or pile of counterspells that are relevant. Bad matchup. Everything else, probably pretty reasonable. So, anywho, that long rambling explanation. This has been John for MTG Nexus with Gyruda combo in Pioneer.